Welcome to the podcast with your favorite cash flow guys, Mike and Blaine, giving you the best advice while having a beer. When you're running a business, there are problems every day. Let Mike and Blaine help you out and guide your way. Cheers to the good times with Mike and Blaine for business, beer, and BS.
Hey, it's Mike and Blaine. Episode 198. We are two away from the magic 200. So I'm Mike Milan, also known as Cashflow Mike. That is Blaine Birch, the co-founder and CEO of DryRun, the best cash flow forecasting software on the planet. What's up, man?
You just suddenly got really quiet.
What?
Yeah.
What? No, not quiet.
You started out good and then suddenly got super kind of quiet. Did you change your mic or something?
Nothing. Zero things have changed.
Maybe it's my ears. Maybe they're full of wax.
Remember, I told you you're earlier, like when we were getting on, like yours just popped in. I couldn't hear anything, and all of a sudden it just popped in. So, Riverside is screwy.
Exactly. Okay, well, hopefully all of you out there can hear us okay, because the levels look okay, but I'm not hearing you as good. So I'm just gonna turn this up a little bit and see if this is all good. So. Another rousing and amazing start to the show.
Hey,
it's all pro over here.
If there's a way to have a technical problem, we can find it, right? Especially with this.
Yes.
And topic of the show, right? Topic of the show is technical problems I've been fighting for about a week now.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So, because I was wondering what those happening.
Yeah, so that's where the topic's coming from. And I'm talking more about just cybersecurity and our website security and those type of things. But a couple of things have happened over the last year that I'm like going, dang it, if it can happen to me, a no-name nobody on the internet, it can happen to anybody.
Yeah. Yeah, criminals aren't choosy, unfortunately. So, this will be an interesting topic, very interesting topic. Your website called is under attack. That's the topic today. But before we get into our topic, what are you drinking?
Oh, all right. So check this out. One of our beer sponsors, actually, this is kind of a mesh of three people into one beer. So this is a weird little story. So we got Neighbor Pat brings down a beer from Altstadt, which is, Texas. I think it's in Fredericksburg, right? Just up north from me, Altstadt. It's a Radler though. And I made fun of him. I said, well, Radler's on beer. It's like Kool-Aid. It's like, but anyway, it's a peach flavored one. And I'm like going, who introduced me to Radlers in the very beginning was the Cashflow Cowboy, right? The Cashflow Cowboy actually brought this to San Antonio from Houston in one of our live events and introduced me when I don't think it was peach. Though. I think he had like a different flavor. I forget what it was. But then it was bought by a former sponsor, a guy that is the kitchen manager for BJ's Brewery or Brew House. Where I go up there at least once a month. We go up, have the wings or have their brew. I love the Jeremiah Red. It's like a red ale, and I just absolutely love it. He always stops by. His name is Sean. He's the kitchen manager here in town, and what a great guy. He's also son-in-law of neighbor Pat. So all these weird intersections of things happening. So thank you, Sean. Thank you, neighbor Pat. And I guess thank you, Cashflow Cowboy, our other beer sponsor. So what a weird mesh.
Three whole people together and got you about 2% alcohol.
Is it even that? Is there alcohol in it? Oh, there's 3.2%. So I need 25 of these.
Guess it depends what you're going for. That's 75. You're expecting a really energetic conversation today, I think. So, well, you know what? I'm going to help with that because I've got this May long double IPA that's been burning a hole in my fridge since May, and I just kind of forgot it was in there. It is, it's by Blindman. Slipped my mind for a second. Blindman Brewing down in it's right here in Alberta, Lacombe. Terrific brewery. They got really good beer. May Long is just a terrific one that comes out every year. They do a new edition. But it's 9%, 8.8. So I'll balance out the Radler. You'll just be able to cover the show, and I can just kind of go to sleep in the corner here.
I'm wondering if this even counts as a show now, because it's almost like not having beer.
I know, it's like Biz beer and Mike had some juice. Mike in a sippy cup.
There you go. So, hey, we got other beer sponsors, though. We do got some. One of them I'm getting ready to see in a month and a half. First time we're going to meet in person. Remember, it took us, you and I, like a year and a half before we actually met in person. Well, Karen Hairston is the same way up in Michigan. I've known her for probably a year and a half now, and we're going to meet in Orlando at the National SBDC conference where she's speaking, right? So if you're in the SBDC and you're going to be at that, look for her session because she runs 3smartconsulting.com up in Michigan, and she knows her stuff. When it comes down to cash flow and helping people put money in their pocket, contact her. Go listen to her session. I'm going to be there.
Mm-hmm. And if you need to know QuickBooks because you're running your own business, and that means you're going to need to know QuickBooks, you got to talk with the top expert in QuickBooks who teaches you the absolute best way to use it. And that's Rachel Barnett with Gentle Frog. And you can go to gentlefrog.com, or you can go to her YouTube channel at YouTube/@gentlefrog. And Rachel will walk you through everything you need to know about QuickBooks.
Hey, this is where this podcast is starting to make sense because the Cash Flow Cowboy calls me up this week and goes, hey, what is it? Is it Rachel? Who? What is that? Because I've got a client that is having trouble with her accounts payable team or something there where they need to be able to hire people that know QuickBooks. And I want to be able to point them to somebody that can train in QuickBooks, maybe give a test. I don't know what it is, but hey, guess who I recommended? Because that's who he wanted, Rachel Barnett.
We're at almost episode 200 and we're finally almost making sense.
We're like making connections. Yeah, we're making
progress.
Yeah, progress. But
it's about time.
Yeah, so I mean, all of you that are listening to that, I have to translate half the time for him after he moves back to Canada for the winter.
Summer. I've been here a while. I've been here a couple months, so I guess apparently I'm starting to get my Canadiana back, my Canuck speak. But we have more. You mentioned the Cash Flow Cowboy, but no one knows who the Cash Flow Cowboy is. That's Larry Weinstein, CPA in Houston, Texas. If you need a CPA, you go talk with Larry down there, and he's going to help you out, especially if you got to have a little help with your cash flow.
Right, and we still got Devin, right? Got Devin, the biggest LSU fan on the planet. I'm getting ready to hopefully see him when I go to an LSU game this fall. And I had LSU gear on right before this show, but Courtney says, go change it. Right? Go change it. So if you notice, I went Baylor on the visor. I went Baylor on the shirt. And by the way, Devin, thank you. Before I change this story, I'm going to change the story a little bit. But and I even went Baylor on the koozie, right? Because I want to promote a company, two people. A company out of Houston, right, is Mo Chic Designs with a Z. Mo Chic Designs. Custom tennis shoes. Custom, right? Not what you're buying offline. Like, even Nike's got some customization, but you just pick this and pick that. No. This is like you're getting art, right? Shane, you've heard me talk of Shane, best friend up in Tacoma, Washington. I always put all my math to a Shane test. You guys remember that? Shane test is if he can understand it, anybody can. Mm-hmm. Right. So, but I do it because of the words, right? Just being able to communicate in language. So everything has to go through a Shane test. Out of the blue today, I get a package from Houston. I'm like, I don't know. And there's a name on the box. I'm like, no idea who this person is. Monique. Her name's Monique. I said, Courtney, do you know any Moniques in Houston? Right. Well, Shane and Courtney had a little bit of a thing in the background, right, where they were going to surprise me with a pair of custom shoes, right? So I want to show them because they're fantastic. Check this out. So they're Air Force Ones, right? I'm going to move this just a little bit. Air Force Ones And this is how they start, right? It's got Sick'em Bears, right? Baylor on the back, right? Custom painted, right? She even cut off like the Nike symbol there, so the bear claw looks like it's ripping it off the thing. It's got on the back, it's got the Baylor logo on this side's just color green because these are the insides, right? But look at the paint job on these things. Is that amazing?
Beautiful.
Yeah. Then on the other one is a little bit different. So Sick'em Bears is kind of the thing, you know. It's our slogan. Little bear claw across the front there. So again with the BU in the back, and boom. I just think these are the coolest. I'm afraid to wear them. I really am. I'm afraid to wear them. you got to just scuff them up.
You got to scuff them up, and then you're good. Then you can wear them, and then they start getting character because then you're wearing them, and so you could wear it to every one of those Baylor tennis matches you're going to go to with that hat.
Hey, speaking of, this is kind of a tennis hat, isn't it? But
looks like a tennis hat to be.
right after this, I bought tickets to the Kansas State. Another good friend, Rick. Rick is always on here. Rick went to Kansas State. I went to Baylor. So I'm going. I bought 4 tickets to the Baylor Kansas State game, October 4th. At McLean Stadium, and I am wearing those shoes to that game.
Nice. And you will get beer and ketchup on them. But that's okay, because that's what they're for.
That's what they're for. See,
they got to build a little character because they got to live a little.
Is that the coolest thing ever? So
those are cool.
My first of all, thank you to both, right? Shane for putting it together and Monique for doing the work, right? Those are custom shoes. You probably see it on YouTube or see it on Instagram, people doing that. I've never seen a pair in real life. Now I have a pair. So before I saw a pair of just custom shoes, I have a pair.
Yeah. You may want to thank Courtney as well.
She just said shoe size. I think that was her.
Okay. That's really funny. Okay. Well, you said Courtney and Shane were talking about this. I thought, okay, so I thought you better.
Well, because Courtney knew it was coming, but that's only because Shane had to call for the shoe size. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, gotcha. Though they are very cool shoes. It would be neat to have some custom shoes. I would like that. I have no idea what I would get painted on my shoes, but I don't know. Be neat.
You could put like Edmonton Oilers, but on the side where like the logo or the Stanley Cup goes, you could just leave that spot empty. Maybe just a color or something nice.
I'm pretty sure we could put a whole bunch of cups there. Just, I guess not the one we were hoping to get this year. But anyway.
Well, you could leave an open spot. That way you can update your shoes.
They have an open spot in like by the dressing room and in the arena. They have the Stanley Cups, and they literally have a space that's empty. That's for the next one. So they're hopeful. They're aspirational. See if it actually can pull that off.
There you go. All right. So cybersecurity. Did we catch everybody? I mean, I got really excited about the shoes, and I kind of lost track. I don't want to leave anybody behind.
We talked about Devin, talked about Larry, talked about Karen, talked about Rachel, and you thanked neighbor Pat because he brought you the Radler.
Yeah, he brought me the fake beer, but
the juice. He brought you your sippy cup of juice.
I wonder why it doesn't have like a sippy cup that comes with it.
Yeah, there's a little baby straw, a little bendy straw, a little curly straw. That'd be good.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. All right, so speaking of, so here's what happened, right? Because if you guys are listening to this and we're like 12 minutes in, 13 minutes in, and you're like, where the hell is this going? What are these guys? Is this all they do is just talk nonsense? No, this is Mike and Blaine, Business, Beer, and BS. We go through our beer sponsors up front, and if you want to be one, easy, super easy. All you do is go to mikeandblaine.com, click buy us a beer, and boom, you can select one for $5. You can select the whole year. You can select the rest of your life. The rest of your life, you can just do that. Or you can double up, right? We even said you can double up now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you want to buy 2 beers per episode, we will actually mention you in the mid-roll as well. And your other option is just literally show up at my house and bring me beer.
Or Mike's. Like neighbor Pat.
Like neighbor Pat brings them beer all the time.
All right, so the other thing is that we mentioned up top, we are 2 episodes away from this thing we're calling the 2 Hundo. And the winner.
2 Hundo Super PAC.
We're giving away things at this 200 super PAC, 200 super PAC.
Yep.
I don't know why I have so much trouble saying that, but you're going to get a 5x8 autograph by us. You're going to get the beer sponsorship we just talked about. The rest of 2025, you are going to be talked about. Whatever you want us to say, unless you're the other Mike Milan and you want to talk about the Baltimore Ravens or something dumb like that, we won't do it. So, so if you're that guy, we never do what he says.
Unless he wins, which it could happen.
You never know. Then, is there other things? Probably something else. There's some other things we'll throw in there.
We had, we're gonna put a little care package together that'll show up at your place. So, yeah, if you win, just watch the mail. And we got a nice little package of cool stuff coming, but it's going to be a little bit of a surprise because there's some fun stuff in there. So make sure you like, subscribe, comment, all the rest. Tell your friends. You won't get a draw, you won't get an extra entry if you tell your friends, but we'd appreciate it. But if you follow, subscribe, comment, you'll get an entry. Multiple entries if you multiple comment too.
Yeah. So in the title it says business, beer, and BS. We've done a lot of BS. We've told you about the beer.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the business part, today. Right? Here's the business part. I come up with the topics usually around 10 minutes before the episode. Blaine never knows what it is. He is surprised every single week. He goes, "Yep, okay," and we just roll with it. That's the cool thing about it. People that go, they've tried to come on shows and they always have their notes and their canned stuff and that. That's not what this is. This is a conversation between business owners, right? Business owners and stuff. Yep. Here's what happened. Usually this is how the topic comes up, is that something has happened in our lives over the past, week. And this week I've had what's called a DDoS attack on my website. It's a denial of service.
Service, yeah.
Yeah, so and the whole object is to create this bot traffic. Well, I don't know what it is, but they just send a shit ton of bots to your site trying to crash it or slow it down. And usually you can tell, it's like, why is my page loading so slowly? I'm like, because I didn't do anything, didn't make any changes. I'm like, So you go in there and you see this big spike and you go, oh, that's not usual. Why do I have, 75,000 hits on my website in 2 hours?
Yeah.
I didn't do anything. And what's odd is it happens at 1:00 in the morning. You're like going, yeah. So 75,000 hits, and it just keeps going. It just keeps going until you stop it. Mm-hmm. Well, the whole thing, I don't know why they would choose a small business, to do that with. It could be just somebody testing out something just to see if it works before they want to do something else with it. It could be to inject a virus, but why? There's no money to get on my site. I think I'm always targeted for stuff like that because cash is in my name. Mm. So, especially if it's a foreign actor, right? Like, from Russia or China or whoever's doing these bad things, Korea. I don't know. I don't know who does Canada. So, but Blaine, it might be Blaine doing it, right? It could be a competitor. It could be somebody just screwing with you, but they try to disrupt the service for some reason. And it doesn't do anything really on my site because I don't have anything. I'm not selling crypto. There's no cash to get. It's just information. It's just like reading. You're slowing down people's ability to read the web page. Right? In a dumb way. You're like, okay, that's just dumb. So then I'm lucky enough because I've been in software and stuff for a while. We always use Cloudflare. And what I've never had to do is use this mode that they have called under attack. Right. So when you're under attack, you click this button and somehow it throttles and changes the web traffic or the bot traffic where I don't know, until it's almost gone, where it's, not going to allow it. It identifies who's human and who's not. And I didn't know what that did in the background, but I've seen it 1,000 times now. And now every time I see it, I'm going to go, oh, that is somebody was under attack and they put on under attack. Okay. So have you ever went to a website where you used to be able to go to the website and it would just open up like, it's like cashflowmike.com and then the homepage pops open. Have you been to any recently, we'll say in the last year, where you type it in and before it goes to the website, it goes to this Cloudflare verifying you're a human? It's like a white page with just a couple of lines on it, and it looks like it's doing something. That's the under attack mode. And what it's doing is somehow, So it pops up and there's a slight delay, which means it's like seconds, like 1 to 3 seconds of a delay. And I think it's checking, I don't know what it does in the background, but it checks to see, is this just one actor, like one person that could be a legitimate user on a browser, or is it all coming from the same spot, just hitting you thousands of times in seconds, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, well, that's cool. Now, the thing is on my site, when I activated it, I'm connected to the app, right? And my app talks to the site. So, and the app talks to the site through an API. So now I've got this thing where I've got to identify what is the actual thing that's being blocked because my users couldn't log into the app because of that. So it's just one thing after. It's these little annoyances. It's just bullshit. It's time. It's cycles. It's money. Yep. Right when it comes down to it. Yep. Anything like that ever happened to you?
Well, we're watching stuff all the time, and there's always people trying to, or bots or something trying to. It reminds me of like they're walking down the street and checking everybody's doors or checking all the car doors. Walking down the street and checking. It's constant, and so because we see a lot of it, we see reports, we have so we can see that you're literally just constantly under attack. Like you're constantly people testing.
Yeah, always testing. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why they would pick you. Jeff says, puts full auto back on semi. I wonder if that's probably basically what it's doing for visitors or something. And that's how it throttles it back. Because the first thing I thought was, well, I kind of wonder why they don't run it all the time, right? Like why Cloudflare wouldn't be able to do, or Flare would be able to do that all the time. But that's why, is because it actually interferes with the real traffic as well. So,
Yeah. And I think that's what it is. I mean, but I get it, why it's happened. So to me, we do get like little tests all the time, right? That's constant. Not what, but it's this one. And I've never had a bot attack. I don't think. Maybe Jeff's on. Jeff is the guy that does my marketing. If you're looking for a guy that does marketing, Rabison.com, RABASON.com. He does my marketing, and I guess he's listening and watching. So,
thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, thanks,
You
Jeff.
can buy us a beer at MikeandBlaine.com.
There you go. Hey. He's you know what? He's been to San Antonio twice and you've never come. So, and each time he has left a present, a nice gift right here at the house, something we can enjoy. Even when you come, I'll share it with you.
Okay. Well, I will have to make it out your way. Now I'm feeling a little guilty for not getting on the plane. But.
Yeah. And he lives in Virginia. I think Virginia. Yeah. He lives in Virginia.
That's like 2 hours away. I have no idea. I know it's not.
So were you by plane?
If I got a really fast plane, maybe.
Yeah, there you go. So I think it's happened maybe twice. And Jeff is one of the ones that pointed it out because he kept getting these 404 errors. And that's kind of what happens when it hits. Because I don't know what it causes, but in the background, what he sees, because he does the SEO and that type of stuff, he goes, hey, we got like, I don't know, 14,404 errors or some crazy number like that. I'm like, I don't even get that much traffic, right? So I think partially it's the word cache that's in there. I think that.
Yeah, that absolutely could be it. Because how else would they pick your site out of the billions on the internet to harass? Or maybe you're getting famous.
Well, no, that's the other thing, right? Because my SEO is starting to work, and I'm first page. I'm number one in some things like cash flow experts. I'm number one. If you look at cash flow advisory service, those type of things, to start Googling. And I don't know how people write bots to do this type of stuff. I don't know what's from. Google search terms, or if it's just from keywords, or it's just random. I don't know.
Mike, you're now an influencer.
Jeff just
Hey,
says,
Jeff says,
go ahead.
Jeff just said, check your beer budget has increased. All right, thanks, Jeff. We're gonna mention you today.
Put him down for 10.
Sweet, nice, and you'll get a bonus. We mentioned you already today. We're going to give you a bonus week or two for listening to the show, and you're also entered into the 200 Super PAC draw. So
there you go. That's true. He does get into the 200. Look, he's got 3 entries right there.
He does have 3 entries right there. Good job.
That doesn't mean go write a bot that puts in 14,000 entries in 2 seconds. You just gave somebody some kind of idea. Right, I don't think anyone cares that much about their 200 Super PAC. It's the 200 Super PAC. I mean, do you remember the 100? The Hundo Super PAC.
This one out. Like, it was fun. It was good. This one's better.
This one's better.
You're want to be in on this one.
Yeah. So
anyway,
all right. So here's what else happened, right? So here's what else has happened in my life on this thing is that roughly about a year ago, I get all these emails. Anytime somebody purchases on my website, first of all, it's all handled by Stripe. So there's nothing that's handled on my website. It goes to Stripe, and I assume they have better security I could build. I just assume,
exactly.
Right? So that's why I let them do the stuff they're good at, like collect money.
Absolutely.
And transfer money. So all my money's a Stripe. So if you want my money and you're listening to this show and you're doing the bot attacks, all my money is in Stripe. But here's what I found out, and I think I told you this maybe a year ago. I said, I had this one product for $5. It was like going, hey, do this. It's $5. And it was kind of a tripwire, like, hey, I don't know what Cashflow Mike's all about, but I'll pay $5. He's worth $5 to take a chance on. One night, 2:00 in the morning, I sell 800 of these.
Oh, yeah, I do remember you mentioning that. Yeah.
I'm going, 800 of these $5 products when I don't sell one a day. Right? Now it's on 800 at 2:30 in the morning or something like that. And so all of a sudden I get another email from Stripe saying, hey, you have a lot of high risk transactions that are happening. So I go, what is the high risk transactions? So I go and look, and it's all during about a 15-minute period, right? 15-minute period. And they're all out of Brazil, right?
Yeah.
Apparently somebody in Brazil or with a Brazil IP address had stolen or bought or acquired
a bunch of
credit card data from Boeing, because every single account was Boeing Credit Union up in Seattle.
Oh.
So it was somebody that hacked Boeing Credit Union and got all of their credit card numbers. Now, none of them went through. They were all declined, right? Because I'm sure Boeing, once they figured out they were hacked, they, closed all the accounts and did whatever. But all of them were declined. But me, it had that one spike in high risk. Well, that's where I did a lot more research on. Why did they pick a $5 product? Well, because it's one of those products that they can test these on. That they'll know instantly if it works or not. So they look for low price products with. I didn't have I didn't have as tight a CAPTCHA and all this type of stuff on it. Right. So you know what I'm talking about? So I didn't have as many walls in that paywall process because it all went to Stripe and it was $5. And it was your money coming to me, not my money going to you. Right? So I didn't think about it that way. Well, all 800 of them got declined. There's a spike. It didn't hurt my reputation with Stripe, which I was worried about. I don't want my processor thinking that we need to suspend or close or change this guy's account where I can't use a credit card processor. So we changed everything that next day. But that's what it was, is that I had learned that they look for websites with these small amounts, and then they will dump there's some type of bot or script that they write that does all these transactions in seconds and runs through a whole list of credit cards in a matter of minutes, just to test them.
Yeah. Yeah, and you'll never be completely up to date with all the stuff they pull and all the stuff they try. Like I said, we're constantly on the lookout and keeping track of everything, and it's a constant worry because like we're just a small business, and you're like these guys could do a lot of damage to a business, and it's like, why are you picking on a small business? There's no money there for you anyway, right? And but it's we're always trying to be really vigilant. We review our security all the time, and we try to have multiple layers. So we try and have like never one thing. We try to have just constant layers that they have to get through. You know, like the bare minimum, you want 2-factor on everything. And if you can do 3, 4, like, you know, all these different fallbacks, have everything in there. And then basically every text message and email, if you don't recognize it and can't verify it, and like, again, that's the other place that's where it's easy for people to get caught, is emails coming in because you're getting them all the time and it can look totally legit. You just have to be like, for a while there, Apple, we had to set like, it would change. It would just put the name of this, like the name of the sender on the account. But I changed all my settings so that you can see the full email for everybody. And I actually don't think any of these services should have hidden that as like, well, we're going to pretty it up. Yeah. You're asking people to get fooled. Like, you should be able to see if it's coming in by email, the entire email address. You should be able to like have every little layer of verification that you can, any place that you can catch them, and multiple layers through everything. Just try and give yourself a much better chance of deflecting some of this.
Yeah. You know, if you got multiple layers of data, right? If it's confusing, if you can't see the patterns that are happening to it, I think you should go look at the folks over at Dry Run. What do you think?
I think you should come today, especially if you're a CFO and you're buried in a spreadsheet, your finance team is buried in a spreadsheet, and you don't know what's happening in your cash flow. You need to come and talk with us because it's getting harder and harder. We're talking with CFOs every day, and things are tight. Things are tricky, and it's getting harder to juggle and keep track of your AR, your AP, the timing issues that come along with everything and potential shortfalls. We can help you with all of that. We can get you up and running really fast, use your data to the best use so you don't have to be pulling it all out of spreadsheets, and make sure your management team is right up to date with something that they can understand. So come and visit us at dryrun.com and we'll help you out.
There you go. I tell you what, I've seen this product grow over the last 5 years. And if you looked at it in the past and go, maybe it's not for me, come check it out again. Look at the redesign. Look at the way they've reformatted the entire process and what they're actually doing with data now. Give them a second look if you've passed them in the past.
Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
There you go. All right, so if you would like to be the mid-roll sponsor instead of Blaine or Mike, all you got to do is ask. All you got to do is ask, and we'll show you how to do that because we've had great sponsors in the past take that spot.
Yes. Yeah, we have. Although it's always good for us to be in there too. So, we're always happy to have a mid-roll sponsor. So you can definitely come and talk with us, and we'll get you all set up. Or just again, buy us a beer, buy us 2 beers an episode, and we'll mention you.
All right. So you know something I don't hear about as much lately, but it's something I think still happens is where people, when they don't have an adequate amount of security on their website and it gets hijacked, it gets held for ransom. Have you heard that? I don't hear about it as much lately, but every once in a while they will take over, especially if you're using outsourced people to run your website. I lost a Facebook page and I got it back. Remember that? I hired a guy to help me manage the Facebook page, and then he took it over and kicked me out as the admin. Right? Yeah. It was the craziest. And then I couldn't get it back, and he didn't do anything with it, nothing nefarious or whatever. I just couldn't use it. So all of the work I had done and put into it and paid on it was gone. And 2 years later, he comes to me in a Facebook message saying, "Hey, listen, sorry." Like No, fuck that. Like, where do you live? Where do you live? Yeah. I'm coming over. Right. So it was one of those things where ransom is a weird thing. So if you have anything that can be held for ransom, I mean, use some stuff, right? Don't let people be administrators longer than the task. That's one of the things I've learned, over the past 5 or 6 years is if you hire somebody to come in and you just hire them to do something, install this, fix this, do this page, as soon as that project is over, take away their administrative privileges.
Yeah. And there's a lot of the services now have multiple levels of privileges. So you don't have to give them full access. You can give them like some level that for only what they need and absolutely nothing more, like just bare minimum. We've always done that actually as a team. Like it's need to know only, bare minimum only, not because we don't trust our people, but because it gives layers of security. Again, it isolates more as people can't sneak in the door as easy. And it's, you used to hear, like, you used to see once a week especially on Facebook, my account's been hacked. I don't see that very often anymore. And I actually think I think it's literally just people finally have like 2-factor on everything or on a lot of stuff. And it's not like some magic foolproof, but it's a lot better than not, because it's almost like, it's like you have an alarm system. It's like, well, a professional can get through that. A professional doesn't give a shit. Like, it's the same thing as general Facebook page. You're not a celebrity. They're not really trying that hard. If it's not easy, likely they'll move on. So what you're trying to do is, a lot of that stuff is just deflect and just make it hard enough that they just find someone else is easier to, like your master hacker criminal. Yeah, you probably don't have a chance. They really don't care about 99.99999% of people, right?
Well, even on our Facebook page, remember we used to get these messages saying you're in violation of this, that, or the other, and contact us. And I'm like, no, I don't think so. Just ignore them. Right, just ignore them, and then I block whoever it is. I just got to habit of blocking everybody. Make them go create another profile, right, to be able to do that again.
Yeah, exactly. Here's an ask of Google, because I know most of you guys are probably on Google. If I get an email and I want to, like, I don't want to just spam them, I blacklist them. Right? It's just kind of a pain. I should have a single button to push, and it's just add to the blacklist. That would actually serve everybody really well. I shouldn't have to go through a bunch of steps to do that. This is a small annoyance of mine, but I take the time. Even on my cell phone, to be honest, if I get a phone call and it's from an unknown number and they don't leave a message, I block them.
Yeah.
I bet you probably a half dozen people I block every year are actual people I know. But I'm like, if you're not on my list and you don't leave a message, I'm assuming you're spam, and I'm blocking you. I'm not just ignoring it. It doesn't even ring through because I have my ringers all turned off. It blocks all traffic from unknown people. So it's sad today that it has to be that way, but you have to have multiple layers over and over again. And it's frustrating, but it's worth the time and effort to do that.
Well, you mentioned that 2-factor. Anything for me that deals with money or personal information or, personal sensitive data that I don't want, I use that 2-factor. It's a pain in the ass, right? Because you always got to go back. Yeah. But they've made it so much easier with that authenticator app, right? It's a number, you got to do it. But like even the guy that does my development has to call me or email me when he wants to do a deployment to get that code, right? So I know what's happening at all times because the code comes to me, or it's in my authenticator app. So I would say do that as often as you can. What I've started doing, believe it or not, I like, because it seems easier than an authenticator app, is, of course, I got a Mac, and I think you do too, right? You do the fingerprint thing, on your keyboard.
On a lot of stuff. You have a passcode for your 2-factor a lot of times, and I know it's a pain, but and Password tools can help with that, but you need a unique, really complicated password for everything. And you want 2-factor minimum on just about everything you possibly can.
Yeah.
And
that
you have to,
iCloud,
right?
yeah, that iCloud keychain is one of the best things, I think, because it won't let me do anything until I put my finger on that button.
Yeah. And yeah. And you know, passwords are on their last legs because they are a little bit too hackable. And it's I don't know how, like, I'm sure there's a lot of there's people way smarter than me out there that are spending all of their time trying to figure out a different way to authenticate that's hopefully easier but way more secure, because passwords really just aren't secure. It's not a great way to do it. So yeah, it's
yeah. So I had a friend one time, right? So here's the thing about these. If you're using WordPress, one of the things I learned about WordPress was 2 things: backup every day. You can get automatic backup. That way, if anything happens, you can always just roll it back, right? The other thing is that keep the plugins, if you use any, updated, because they're out there. Those plugins are trying to keep, these things at bay. When they hear about them, they're going to hear about them more than you, and they're going to know where they're more vulnerable than you are. There was a friend of mine. This is, I don't know, I'm going to call it 5 years ago. It might have been 7. But had a slideshow on there. You've seen that where it's like a slideshow. It's like a carousel of pictures and all that kind of slideshow, not a slide deck, right? So just used a plugin for all these pictures. People could kind of scroll through them. Well, there was a security vulnerability in it, whereas it created a virus for people that interacted with it. And everybody that interacted with our site got some type of phishing scam or pop-ups that started on their browser, right? So it went through the slide deck into the browser and then infected the other person's computer somehow. I don't know exactly how it worked, but that's where they identified that it came from, was that one plugin. So plugins can be vulnerable when you add them. So keep them up to date, or make sure you're using reputable ones.
Well, and that's the challenge, is not just keeping them up to date, but reputable, because I don't know how much security or vetting there is on the plugins themselves. And it's the same thing with apps in the App Store. Like, I know Apple does a pretty good job of that, but I still wouldn't trust everything 100%. Android is a little bit more, into some good points, it's more of an open market to some degree, but you have to be even more careful with the apps that you're downloading. That kind of goes through everything. Like, it's really hard to keep track of everything. And it's the more doors you have, the more access points you have, right? So simple is always better, and multiple layers on everything for security is well worth the effort, because it's tough out there. Like, I don't know how there must have been a point where cyber crime has surpassed, I don't know what you call it, bricks and mortar crime, like live crime. I don't know what you call it, but cyber crime, I'm sure, is well beyond it now, because there's constantly, there's nobody. It's like, I don't see people banging on my front door testing the lock every day. There are people every hour, every day, and they are poking and testing all of our digital entry points to see if there's a place that they can get in. And so it's hard, but you got to be on top of it, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I mentioned earlier, this Cloudflare thing. I mean, it is one of the cheapest and best things you can do for your website, right? Because this is about websites to me. So Cloudflare, they got a free plan, but the paid plan is only like $5 a month, something ridiculously cheap, and it's a firewall. So think about where you host. Like, for me, I host on Cloudways, right? Some people might do GoDaddy, or there's wherever you host, like, who holds your domain, right? So you can, people can access it. Then you got what you make, right? Which is WordPress for me. Well, in between there is this firewall, and that's Cloudflare, right? Which, people that come in from the internet, your interface, which for me is WordPress, they got to pass through this Cloudflare to get to my domain and my server and where everything is, right? So it's just, it goes from the text to the actual guts of your domain. So for free or $5 a month, you have to build that in as part of your plan. I think so. Do you guys use something like that? Maybe not Cloudflare or something else?
We have multiple layers. I'm also not allowed to mention anything ever.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, no worries.
Because my co-founder, our CTO, he runs everything. We don't even share anything on anything, like any service, any platform, anything. I don't think that's a high risk, but it's just not a risk that it's just like, that's an easy one. We just don't need to, right? So it's just make everything a little trickier, right?
Well, but my whole business plan isn't that, right? I mean, I can operate on Zoom.
Yeah, exactly.
You guys have IP. Your service is performed on the internet. Mine is, but it's really not. Mine's about the knowledge. Yep. Mine's about the IP, about the strategy, the process. Yeah.
There. Thank you for Canadianizing that. No, and it's really hard to keep track of it. It's well worth it. It's well worth the effort. It's well worth it. Like we do regular security audits. It's well worth it. I do security audits personally, just on all of my, like all the passwords, all of the, like everything. There's data breaches constantly. Again, that's why you have to have a unique password for everything and change the freaking passwords quite often. Like, make sure you're on top of that, because there's people trying every second of every day. And when I see how many, like I said, people are checking the locks on our doors, I can't imagine high profile businesses, the type of testing people are doing to try and find some sort of vulnerability. So it's like, you hate to kind of go like, I don't want to, you're not trying to scare everybody, but it's like, you should be scared, and scared enough that you're actually just not scared that you're paralyzed, scared enough that you're actually taking it seriously and layering on as much security as you can, and being just really, really cautious. And like I said before, don't trust any email, don't trust any text, and before you click on anything, verify the living hell out of it, because it could open up a lot of windows.
Hey, and I'll add to that. Don't assume you're too small. I'm too small. Nobody wants. I mean, because you just can't. You could be used for something else, just like my paywall or my was used to test credit cards for, they weren't trying to get anything from me, but it was just one of those little areas that they could, use my credit card processor to see what credit cards they could go do something bad with.
Yeah. Yeah. And we've had people poke around and do all kinds of stuff trying to get into dry run. And we have all kinds of little security layers on top of that. And sometimes you can literally see, and you're like, look what this asshole's trying to do. Right. Like you could, and it's really frustrating, again, especially when it's like, don't people have something better to do? Like to go after small business like this is it's ridiculous, but it happens. Right?
I mean, it's low hanging fruit. They assume the big businesses, it's a big payoff, but there's a lot of work to get to it, right? Because they've all invested in it. So there's a layer of businesses. You might be doing $10 million a year and have no security, and they can just do, it's just at that right level that they find, because they don't know how much money that I do in revenue or you do in revenue. But they, if they just test all these little businesses that nobody else is thinking about, they're going to find the one that doesn't pay attention or protect themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. They're testing that all the time, trying to find the easy win. It's the shoplifting sort of thing when there's nobody hanging over your shoulder, right? So, all
right. So what about this? I mean, do you think competitors do that to each other? Do you think it happens?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely, it happens. And
mean,
I actually, without being like, I'm not going to point fingers. I actually think we've had competitors a few times pull things that I think are a little bit dickish, to be completely honest.
Yeah, because I mean, it's listed as one of the reasons is people, that your site can be screwed with, just screwed with, not just nothing to get money, just to cause disruption in the service.
To cause disruption, yeah.
And man, I always like to assume the best of people, but when you hear that and see that, and then now you validate it by going, man, I've seen some dick moves. Well, maybe it does happen more than I think.
Yeah, and I don't have proof, but it's like, when it looks like a duck and sounds like a duck, it's probably a duck, right? So it's yeah. Could I 100%? No. Do I think it's actually happened? Hell yeah. And like because we've seen smaller things where you're kind of going, there's a little bit of people have poked around and we know people have, the nice way to say is taking inspiration. The truthful way of saying is they've ripped us off. We've seen that before. Yeah. But yeah, I actually think there's a few times I don't have proof, but it just, the way it adds up. Yeah, I would strongly suspect that we got screwed with by. And again, we have so many layers of everything on top. It's like dickish, but we had enough layers to prevent anything from really happening, right?
Yeah. Hey, was July 1st, is that Canada Day, or is that the thing that happens in November? July 1st was.
No, it's Canada Day, July 1st. Yeah, it was weird this year. So we had a day off in the middle of the week. And you have a Friday for a long weekend, which you guys are perfect this year.
But I was going to wish you a happy Canada Day. So yeah.
Thank you.
I thought it was July 1st, and I didn't talk to you that day.
It was July 1st. We went over to, and I'm going to give them a plug here because really good friends of ours own some restaurants in town, and we were sitting in one of them and had just a terrific meal, and then they walked in and invited us to their other restaurant. We sat in the patio all night on the 30th or whatever, the night before July 1st, and just sat on their patio and had some drinks and some great food. And so I ended up at basically almost 2 meals. I was really full by the time we could barely walk, but it was amazing. So if you are in Edmonton, I will say, and I've probably said this a million times, Rosso, Bianco, and now their newest location, Nero, are the best places in town. Absolutely fantastic food, absolutely beautiful places. So
I have go check them out. Courtney up there. Got to get her up there, right? So, but there's a little bit of a negotiation I've got to do.
I totally understand. I think Courtney has a reason because Canada was dickish. I will say that. So without going into detail, I get it.
Hey, when they stopped talking to her in English and started using French, I said, hey, you better shut up. I don't know what they're saying now.
Yeah. Pourquoi? Yeah, no, that's, it's, but I got to say, it's been, like we were down, I'm not sort of comparing, but I'm going to compare a little bit. We were down in Scottsdale for like 5.5 months or whatever. And we just had such good weather. And I'm going to be honest with you. It's been a little sketchy up here. We've had these days of wind and also got some rain. We had some thunderstorms and then some nice weather in between. But man, it sucks when it's like thunderstorm on a freaking Saturday afternoon or something, right? Yeah. So it's, it's been a little bit frustrating weather wise this year. So I'm kind of hoping it'll start to settle in and give us a nice couple of months here before it starts cooling off again. So.
All right. Well, tomorrow is 4th of July here in the United States.
Happy 4th.
And that's right. And if you're out there doing your thing, celebrating, be safe. I tell you what, I mean, people that have 10 fingers on the 4th sometimes have 7 or less fingers on the 5th.
Yeah.
So be careful.
Do like I'm sure you're doing. Sit in your backyard with a beer. I know you're probably sitting by your pool, but sit in the backyard by the beer, have the neighbors over, have a really nice time, and don't blow your fingers off with a firecracker because it's not worth it.
Hey, and while you're there, tell your friends. Hey, you know what you guys should be listening to? Mike and Blaine, right? Mike and Blaine is business, beer, and BS. I mean, you can throw that on. I mean, turn off the yacht rock for one day and turn on Mike and Blaine.
And like, subscribe, follow, just like Jeff. Thanks again, Jeff. He 4 messages. He actually has 4 draws, like 4. It's going to take you a while to put all of those little pieces of paper together for the draws. But Jeff actually had 4 comments today. So he gets a bunch in the draw. And make sure you do, because we will be drawing not next week, but the following week during our 200th episode, we will be drawing for the 200 Super PAC. And you want to be in on the like, subscribe, follow. You will be included in the draw, and Mike will fill out 8 jillion little pieces of paper with people's names on it. And
you just got to send me that spreadsheet of the stuff, and I'll just make it up. So, make up the piece of paper for the draw, because we're going to do the draw live, and we have a special guest at the 200th episode.
A special guest, and the special guest, I think, is actually doing the draw.
Yeah.
And I will share the Google Sheet with you.
There you go. So we got that because special guest is coming, and he's answering a big question, right? So it's going to be a special episode with special guest answering a big question with a special draw. It's a special episode.
Yeah, it's the 200 Super PAC, and we're going to call it the big ass question.
The big ass question. All right.
The big ass question on episode 200 when we're drawing for the 200 Super PAC.
There you go. Hey, another one's in the books, 198. We got one more before that big 200 episode. So happy 4th of July, and we'll see you next week.
Check out their website at mikeandblaine.com. Then subscribe to the podcast and buy these guys a beer.